Hello, this is Pat Ray, and from Pat's Prevention and Treatment Services, we're here to talk about substance use or abuse or dependence this morning. First thing, I need you to get a piece of paper and please print your name first and last so that I can read it clearly. I need today's date. And I need the type of group, which is substance abuse. And the reason I need that is I do lots of different types of groups. So this helps me keep track. If you are referred by an agency or a department or somewhere, please put that on your paper. If you have an officer or a caseworker or a case manager, if you could put that on there too, I'd appreciate it. And of course, if you are insurance, I need to know that. If somebody else is paying for your services, I need to know who. And if you are paying, you can call over the phone at 217-954-1128 or 217-766-9132. And you can pay over the phone or you can mail a check or money order to Pat's 300 South Broadway, Suite 110A as in Apple in Urbana, 61801. Or you can come to the office between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Monday through Friday, or 5 to 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday. You can drop off exact change. You can drop off any assignments. If you need to pick up something, call, let us know. We'll have it ready for you. The assignments, what you do will be to take that piece of paper that you have, and you're going to write about anything you thought about, wanted to talk about, or that you learned or thought was noteworthy. You will write those down along with any tasks or assignments that I give you this morning. Then, when you answer all of those, you will take a picture of that. You can email it to pat@changeisachoice.org, or you can text it to me, 217-766-9132. All righty? Okay, so today we're going to talk about getting through things, handling negative emotions, without using drugs, alcohol, shopping, doing something stupid, or walking off the job, going to jail, or whatever. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to deal with uncomfortable feelings. Right now, with so much going on and this time of everything being shut down and social distancing and stay-at-home orders, all of that, and it's dragging on. What we see is an increase in family violence. What we see is an increase in feelings of depression, loss of hope, stress, dealing with families that are in the house, kids are home, homeschooling, reduced income, and just plain not being able to get out and do what we used to do. So taking a few minutes to realize that it will end, this will pass. We have had epidemics and pandemics in history. If you look them up, you will see that there were some back in the 1800s, early 1900s. So, and even later on in 1900s and mid 1900s. So take a look, Google it, and you will find out that people did survive, the human race survived, and the country survived. So keeping that in mind, we're going to move forward, do what we can do to keep our peace of mind and to keep our hope of the future, that things will work out and we will be okay. And that's one of the main things that helps us to get through this, is to tell ourselves, I will be okay. My family will be okay. I will get through this. I've been through tough times before, and I will get through this time. I faced things I didn't want to face or that I was afraid to face in the past, and I have survived it. I have faced it. I have moved through it. And now we're talking about how to do that without making more problems for ourselves, without using substances, and without eating all the chocolate cake, without shopping online, without cussing somebody out or calling up your local pets and being angry about whatever. Okay, so being focused on getting through it, you will survive it, it will be okay. So, we want to talk about how human beings like pleasure. That's what drives us. That's how we survive. So, if you think about it, most people enjoy a good meal, a drink, ice cold water, or maybe it's a Pepsi or some lemonade or whatever it might be. Most people, when they can sleep, enjoy sleeping if they're sleeping well. Those things feel good, and that's because we need them to survive. So we have a place in our brain that's called the pleasure center or pleasure pathway, and that drives human beings because we need certain things to stay alive. Okay? So when things come along and it does not feel good, sometimes we feel or we believe or we think we can't tolerate it. It's called distress intolerance. So it says here, the definition of distress intolerance: you are unable to fully and calmly accept and experience negative or uncomfortable emotions. And when these types of emotions arise, you feel a strong need to escape them. Okay. You might want to think about times in your own life when things got tough and you didn't want to experience them. So instead, you chose some of the things that I mentioned before to numb it out. So if we, all of us, are more able to experience negative emotions without feeling overwhelmed, without feeling as if we need to escape them, we'll have less need to use alcohol, drugs, shopping, whatever it might be, to numb our feelings. And trying to get away from experiencing negative emotions doesn't really work very well. In fact, it usually makes things worse. So if you, for example, you have nervousness when you're around other people, so you skip occasions in the past to do that. So then if the next time you have to be around people, because now you're still nervous because we haven't learned how to adapt, we're more likely to want to use a substance in order to handle that situation. And then we might even feel worse the next day. Have you ever gone to an event, whether it be work, church, whatever it might be, and people that you knew in the office or you knew at church or you knew at the Boy Scouts or whatever it was, whatever kind of group you are associated with, some of those folks, or one in particular that you least expected, got really messed up and acted like a fool, went up and kissed the boss or really showed their butt in some kind of way. So trying to avoid negative emotions by using substances, in this case, anxiety or nervousness, can lead to more trouble and more anxiety. Okay. The next thing is negative emotions are normal and healthy. And if you try to block all of them out, you really miss a lot in life. You say, oh no. But yeah, you really miss a lot in life. So, how can we truly appreciate the good times, the fun times, if we don't have something to compare it to? So, if I didn't struggle through a bad relationship a few times in my life, I wouldn't appreciate it when I had a good one. If I hadn't gone without work, without money, I wouldn't appreciate it when I have a job to go through to every day and I have money to not only pay bills, but sometimes to have a little money to do something special. So, okay. So how do we improve our distress tolerance skills? We want to look at these 4 truths. We call them truths. I've got my notes down here, so I'm going to go over them. The first one says negative emotions are necessary and useful. They are also universal. Everyone experiences these types of emotions. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was going through a particularly rough time in my life, I thought and believed nobody else had felt that way. 2, no emotion is permanent or unchanging. Emotions tend to come and go like the waves in the ocean, rising and falling in time. Sometimes it can feel like your rage or guilt or sadness will last forever, but it won't. 3, you can never hope to eliminate negative emotions. And in most cases, trying to block these emotions just makes it worse, makes more problems. And number 4, though you can't block negative emotions, you can learn to experience these emotions without feeling such distress and without having to react impulsively. So let's talk about impulsivity. Impulsivity is when I engage my mouth, my behavior before I have engaged my thinking process. So I act without thinking ahead, and it oftentimes leads to negative consequences. Somebody says something to me, I lash out, cuss them out, say something rude. That impact stays with that other person. They may not feel and think about me the way that they used to. I may have diminished, or I may have lost their respect in their eyes. Or I may cuss the boss out and walk off the job. Might felt good for that moment, but by golly, it doesn't feel good when I realize I don't have a job and I can't pay the bills. So, impulsivity. On your paper right now, I want you to list one time when you acted impulsively and It was a negative consequence. Just think about that for a moment. Most of us have done that at one time or another. It's human. The idea is when we do those things to learn from them so we won't do them again, so that we will have the best life we can, so we can have a life worth living. The more times that we react impulsively, the more it takes away from our best life. So I want you to think about that. There are choices. Impulsivity, you say? That's not a choice. It becomes a choice once you become aware of it, and once you find and plan a different way. Planning ahead, thinking ahead, when you have the feeling to react when it comes on you, instead of reacting, do something different. A lot of times we'll use substances after the fact because we've said or done something stupid, and we know it's stupid afterwards, like, oh my God, that was stupid. And we don't want to deal with it. So therefore we try to numb it out, forget it, move on, and we use substances, shopping, whatever it might be to get through it. Okay. So we want to talk about a technique that might help us become better at riding through these emotions and this distress. Okay, so one of the ways is number one, stop judging your emotions, good or bad. They're just feelings. They just come and go. Don't judge them good or bad. Number two, when emotions arise, label them for what they are. I'm angry, I'm hurt, I feel lost, I'm embarrassed, whatever. And number three, use mental imagery to remind you that emotions come and go. So in other words, think back. I've been happy before. It comes and goes. I mean, the state of being happy in the moment. I've been sad before. It comes and goes. I've been angry before. It comes and goes. It's what we call transient. It doesn't stay. So keeping an eye on our emotions in a non-judgmental way. So imagine yourself as a third person who is observing neutrally. So imagine yourself just standing over there and watching yourself. You're not involved with your emotions at all from this point over across the room. You're simply watching them from above or across the room, and you are not trying to alter their course in any way as they flow past. Just watch yourself. What do you look like? What's going on? What's the behavior? What do you see? Just observe. So this is like a detached watching, and over time we get a better understanding of how our emotions come and go, how they build and recede, like watching stream of emotions flow past us. Number two was label your emotion. So identify it. This emotion is anger. I feel it in my body because I felt my heart rate increase. I feel I'm kind of shaky because the adrenaline has released. My face is kind of hot. Or this is sadness that I'm feeling. It's making me kind of feel physically tired. I just kind of feel heavy. Labeling helps us to practice thinking or being in the moment, and it also helps us separate between ourselves and our emotions. So labeling it, identifying it. Have you ever heard somebody say, I'm feeling some kind of way? I hear that all the time. Not sure if I understand the exact meaning of it, but what I take from it is that I'm feeling an emotion. So when I feel an emotion, I want to identify what it really is. Okay. Another one, the third one says, make use of mental imagery. You don't want to resort to negative coping mechanisms like drinking or shopping to deal with negative emotions. Before you stop using uh, your negative coping mechanism, which is whatever it is, you need to believe that you can handle it. You can handle the experience of the uncomfortable emotion. Do you run from that? That's what we do. We run from uncomfortable emotions by using substances. One way to remind yourself that negative emotions will pass in time, that you are not your emotions, and that you do not have to act upon an emotion. You don't have to do that. Okay. All right. So, one of the things that I try to remember, the emotions always leave. Sometimes they come back. We practice. It's normal for things to come and go, emotions to come and go. And it's normal for them to come back maybe a few minutes or hours after watching it pass by the first time. So congratulate yourself for any good attention that you have paid or noticed to when this feeling reemerges. And once again, make use of the fact that they flow, they come and go. We don't have to act on them. Let things pass by following their natural course. Let them run their natural course. Don't act on them. Okay, so on your paper right now, need you to list any feelings that might put you at risk of trouble. You want to also identify steps to take when those feelings come about. Who has a level head in your life? Maybe talking with them, maybe they could be supportive in certain times of emotion. There are certain activities that we can do that are not alcohol or drug related, or shopping, or gambling, or pornography, or any of the things that we run to not feel or deal or cope with uncomfortable situations and emotions. So list what activities might help you to feel better. Okay. All right. So for full credit, I need to have your first and last name. I need to have your progress note and your source of payment, whatever it might be. Stay safe, stay well, and we hope that this will end soon, where we can all be back in person. Thank you. Have a good day.